Today is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, Rosh Chodesh Tov. Should be a good month, Rosh Chodesh Tov and Vorach. And actually today, Wednesday, is Rosh Chodesh, and tomorrow is also Rosh Chodesh. We have 2 days of Rosh Chodesh this month. Question could be asked, how come 2 days of Rosh Chodesh? If it's the beginning of the month, it should be 1 day. In order to explain why we have 2 days, we should understand that the cycle of the moon, from the beginning, from the time that the moon starts until it grows to be full on the 15th day and then goes down until it totally becomes dark, that whole cycle, and then starts again, that whole cycle is 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes and more seconds. It's about 45 minutes approximately. So that a month is not in complete units of days. And if we were to go by the cycle of the month, we would start the month in the middle of the day. We can't start a calendar date in the middle of the day where the morning would be one date and the afternoon would be a different date. So therefore, the way we do it is we have some months that are 29 days and some months are 30 days. And that way, we sort of even out. Instead of being 29 and a half days in calendar dates, we have 29 days in 1 month, and then the next month would be maybe 30 days. And that way, 29 and 30 would be able to accommodate and to compensate for that extra half a day that is the cycle of the moon to be complete. So therefore, when we have 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, the first day is the 30th day of the month that just concluded, which is the 30th day of Sivan. And tomorrow is the first day of Tammuz. When it's a month that is only 29 days, then we have only 1 day of Rosh Chodesh. The month that passes is 29 days, and then the next day will be the first of the following month. If we're speaking already about lunar months, the cycle of the moon, when you multiply it times 12 months, you short about 11 days. You short 11 days compared to the solar year. And since we need to have the holidays always happen in certain seasons of the year, like Pesach is always in the springtime, we add an extra month in the Jewish calendar to have 13 months. 7 times every 19 years. So sometimes it's every 2 years, sometimes every 3 years, but the idea is 7 times within a 19-year period, we're going to have 2 months of Adar. So the month of Tammuz is the month where we have the fast of the 17th of Tammuz. You should understand that every month parallels one of the tribes. There are 12 tribes, there are 12 months. And the month of Tammuz parallels the tribe of Reuven. Reuven is the firstborn for Yaakov, and Reuven, which means Reusi ben, a child, or like his mother when she named him, she says, Kira Hashem et oni, that Hashem saw my humiliation. So the month of Tammuz is also associated with the sense of sight. What is interesting is that months of the year have associations with different aspects. For instance, Tammuz is sight. The month of Av is the sense of hearing. What is this about sight? We'll see that the parashiot that we read during this period of Tammuz have elements associated with sight. And when we speak about sight, it's not just the plain physical ability to see. It's rather the perception, the understanding, the interpretation of what it is that we're looking at. Several people could be looking at the same situation or the same thing, and they would explain it totally differently. Sometimes their perception, their understanding is totally flawed. Like what happened last Shabbat, when we read Parasha of the Meraglim, of the spies. The 12 spies that went, by the way, they actually left on their mission on the 29th of Sivan, and they were spying the land of Canaan during the beginning of the month of Tammuz. They were there for 40 days, right? And they came back in the month of Av when they gave their report, and Am Yisrael heard them, and they were led to believe that it was a very bad idea to go into Eretz Israel. So they listened to that Lashon Hara. So that's the month of Av, we said, is associated with the sense of hearing. The month of Tammuz is associated with the sense of seeing. So they saw many different things when they came to Eretz Canaan. 10 spies interpreted it the wrong way. 2, which was Kalev ben Yefuneh and Yoshua bin Nun, had the right perception, the clarity of vision to see that it was all positive. We see in the parasha of Korach. Korach saw in a vision that he was going to have a child that would be equal to Moshe and Aaron. Like the pasuk says, Moshe Aaron bechanav u'Shmuel bekor'eh shemo. So he had this vision that he would have one of his descendants that would be equal to Moshe and Aaron. And that's why, according to one of the Midrashim, he rebelled against Moshe and Aaron. But he didn't understand that his children, the children of Korach, repented. And Shmuel is the one that came out from the sons of Korach who repented and were spared. But Korach himself is the one that, after he rebelled, as the story is told in the parasha of this week, that the earth swallowed him. The end of last week's parasha, it had to do with the tzitzit. It says, Uri'item oto, and you'll see and you remember all the mitzvot. But also it says there, V'lo taturu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem. Don't go after your hearts and your eyes. In other words, you have already an inclination to see the wrong things, and then you look at certain things that attract you. We'll see also in one of the parashiyot that we're reading the month of Tammuz, the Balak, we have Bil'am, who came to harm with his sight. He had Ain Hara. And the Am Yisrael, when they sinned with the daughters of Minyan, it was also began through sight. But on the other hand, Pinchas Vayar, and he saw and he took action. So this idea of the sense of sight associated with this month, as we see in the parashiyot of this month, it's a great concern sometimes of how we view things, how we interpret things, how we explain to ourselves what we're looking at. That we should always be looking at things in a way that is the proper way. That we should have the clarity of vision not to be misled into misinterpreting what we're looking at. And this is one of the themes that is associated with this month of Tammuz. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.